Welcome to STARCARD Podcast. At STARCARD Podcast, we get a glimpse at the age of Aquarius ahead of us. We also examine the worlds of education and workplace ethics. My name is Breakaway Ray. I like talking about the breakaway civilizations and breaking away from the one we're in now. Today is August 19th, 2025. You've tuned in to a live tarot throw. Thank you very much for joining me. Feel free to go into the chat and make a tarot request or a tarot suggestion if you have one. Otherwise, I invite you to enjoy the show. I already see we have some friends in the chat. I want to say again, welcome. Good morning from where I am. And welcome to viewers whenever you're watching the show. As usual, I have a couple of things I want to start off with, but I imagine about in 15 minutes or so, I'll be ready to do readings from the chat. And I hope we have as much fun as we had yesterday. That was great fun. All right. So what I want to start with first is a tarot lesson. And well, I want to say I might be an experienced teacher. However, I'm very new to tarot. I only started in March. And before I ever took Matthew Mornian's class, I want to thank you, Matthew Mornian. You're a great teacher and also a great tarot teacher. Before I ever took Mr. Mornian's class, I experimented with tarot on my own. So right now, let's go to the tarot cam so I can show you what's going on. Okay, so usually, ladies and gentlemen, I shuffle right in front of you, but I want you to know that this time I shuffled before I started the program in the interest of saving time. And apparently I'm still fiddling with audio and visual here. Okay, let me get another light over here. All right, that helps a little bit. Great. So I'd like to make some suggestions before I continue with what I got going on here. And that is, one of the decks that taught me the most, the fastest, is this one. It's just called Tarot. And what does it say on this side? It says classic tarot cards. Okay. And like just about every set of tarot cards, it comes with a handy book like this. And this book is well written. It gives you the meanings of the cards face up and in reverse or upside down. And it's very well written. I really like it a lot. But the real advantage is that these cards, as you've seen before, if you've watched the program, these cards have the words written right on the card. So when you flip the card over, you don't have to spend a long time looking it up. And anyway, it makes things go more gracefully and easily, right? So as I said, I already shuffled the cards. And before I knew anything about tarot, what I did was I would sit at the table, maybe with my tea in a relaxed moment, and it would just be me and the deck of cards. And I would ask the deck, if you have some kind of message for me, especially for today, I mean, let's just make it simple. Is there a message that you have for me today? Please show it to me. And again, this is before I knew much about tarot at all. So I would shuffle the cards, and then I figure when I'm done shuffling the cards, the top card probably means something. And in fact, if you watch almost all of my throws, they always start with the top card. So this is called a one-card throw. I've already shuffled, and while I shuffled, my intent was, is there a message for me and for all the viewers and subscribers at STARCARD today? Let's just make it simple. What do you want to lead off with, Tarot World? We are all ears. You have the floor. What would you like to say? And so I would flip the card, and when I flipped the card, then it was up to me to figure out what the Tarot World was trying to say, right? I had to use my ESP, my extrasensory perception. I had to use my imagination. I had to be telepathic, had to develop that skill. So anyway, let's toss a card and see what the Tarot World has to say for us today on August 19th. I say to us, to everyone watching the show. I want to adjust my camera first. Hang on. Okay, I think I'm good. All right, let's take a look. It's the moon. So I can read to you what it says on the moon card. It says, illusion, mystery, dreams, intuition, fear, anxiety, subconscious, and premonitions. So I would like to focus on the words intuition, subconscious, and premonitions, because that's pretty much what we're doing. Again, it's not in black and white, as it were. It's not poured in concrete. We're trying to intuit the message from the tarot world, and it's good exercise. I mean, if we wanted to get carried away, we could say that, if you look at the image of the moon and there's a face looking down on the two dogs, the two dogs are working really hard on communicating to the moon, and that might represent us, humans in the human world, trying to discern the message that the moon is sending us through its light. Just a suggestion. So now I'm going to show you a second kind of a reading. It's like one of the first readings I learned while I was in Matthew Morning's class. So let me give you the quick shuffle. It's the 3-card throw. The more you learn about tarot, the more you learn. You can set up throws any way you want to. You can ask any kind of questions you like. But I like the structure of the 3-card throw that Matthew offered in one of his first lessons. So I'm shuffling the cards a little bit. I'm going to give a little bit of an intention here. I would like to ask the tarot world, you just showed us the moon card. And I bet you have more to say on the subject. The moon must be important to where we all are in both our 3D world, getting ready for work in the morning, for example, and in the 4D world, in our ability to connect with our higher selves and our spirit guides. So we're going to throw 3 cards. One card is going to show the position where we are at. I'm saying us collectively. We're all thinking this stuff together right now. The first card shows where we are at. And then the second card will show the influence of that position. And the third card will show our path, the one that we should aim to follow as best we can. I'd like to invite the cards to please show us what you want to show us. Please tell us what you want to tell us so we understand your message even better based on your first card, the moon card. Thank you. All right, how about a 3-card draw? First up, the position card. Cut the deck for the influence card, and then the path card. Sometimes I'll just pull right from the bottom of the deck, especially if there's more than 3 cards. Nevertheless, this one feels like it's coming out. And now it's up to us to create the story. So position, the path, the influence, and the path. Position, got it, good. Making sure you see it, I'm working upside down. All right, so first off, we have the position. Where are we at? I'm always surprised. So apparently we're in the justice chair. This feels righteous. Let's take a look and see what it says on the justice card. Justice, fairness, truth, clarity, equality, balance, cause and effect, and law. Even though justice as a word seems much more prominent than some of these other words, what we're really talking about is gleaning messages from the tarot deck, gleaning messages from the spirit world. And on this card, it says truth, clarity, cause and effect, and law. And that seems related. So it feels like maybe, we're in the middle of a tarot lesson. And part of the tarot lesson involves discerning signals and messages that don't come through our phones or other types of screens. This seems encouraging. So when I was in Matthew Morning's class, I'm sorry I didn't tag Matthew Morning. I should have, huh? So when I was in Matthew Morning's class, he told us his story about the Two of Wands guy. And the Two of Wands guy, he's basically the card that says, you have the green light, go. It's the universe recognizing that you have studied and planned and you have given it careful enough thought to move forward. So you have the green light, go. You want to learn tarot. You want to discern messages from the astral plane, from the 4th dimension. Well, you are studying. You have the green light, go. In fact, I wonder if someone's waiting for you to try, if you haven't tried. Okay, and so based on those signals and those messages so far, I wonder what our path should be. Again, I'm using the collective we. What would our path look like if we're going to continue developing our sense of spirituality and our connection to the spirit world, our ability to communicate to our higher self and to our spirit guides and to source or God or the angels or whoever you want to talk to. Because basically, if you want help, those are people you ask for help from. Well, our path forward suggests that there could be many paths forward. The Two of Pentacles suggests multiple priorities. Let's take a look. Multiple priorities, time management, adaptability, balancing decisions. So regarding adaptability, each of us would have to adapt our lives to include spiritual practice. If it's not already part of your life, you're probably going to have to open up some time for that. I don't want to, I'm not one to be judgmental for sure, but let's just say you're someone who enjoys a cigarette now and then. Or perhaps you like to enjoy a cigarette in the morning after breakfast or while you're driving. Well, maybe while you're enjoying that cigarette, you might consider rehearsing your affirmations, saying prayers, asking for help, and then making commitments and promises, to yourself or to the people that you care about and the project that you care about, that you're going to move forward in a pleasant and cooperative way. You can exercise that way. In a healthier vein, if you will, ladies and gentlemen, you are now part of my spiritual practice in the morning. Each morning, just about 5 or 6 days a week, I go on a hike for about an hour, and then I come in and I throw tarot cards. The difference is that now on STARCARD podcast, I'm not throwing tarot cards by myself. I'm sharing the experience with you. Now, the other thing that the Two of Pentacles suggests is that you would have, we talked about time management. Oh yeah, multiple priorities. Well, basically there could be many ways you can get in touch with the spirit world. I'm using tarot cards. Some of us like to channel. There are others of us, and this intrigues me, I don't know enough about it, who use stones, for example. I'm not sure how that would work. I believe someone in either the STARCARD podcast chat or in the Typical Skeptic podcast chat mentioned that they actually use a regular deck of playing cards. Again, I find that fascinating. And then it makes me all want to go back to a Marvel movie when Thor finally reaches Norway, where his dad Odin is, and he goes to complain to his dad that his big sister broke his hammer. And then Odin tells Thor, "Are you Thor, god of hammers?" "No, you're the god of thunder. The hammer was just used for you to focus your talent and your skill." So no matter what you use, tarot cards, stones, playing cards, channeling through your intuition, art, creating songs, whatever gets you in that stream of consciousness state, you know what? That's a way to contact your spirit guides and your higher self. So, if the tarot world is really there, they sure told us a good message. They sure gave us a good lesson. So we want to say thanks to the cards. And then I think I have to talk about the description and go on with my quote unquote lesson today. First, let's take a look at the chat and say hi to anyone who showed up. I see we have a couple of friends. Johanna, Lydia, Lula, hello. Thanks for coming. And hello, Amanda. Congratulations on being a Pisces. Oh, right, it relates to the moon card. I'm a Capricorn, by the way. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'm so happy you're here. I want to go now to my description. I haven't added anything to the description, but I did move the Psychic Liz Cross with Mr. Reality drop episode number 6 to the top of my list again, because we talked about 2 of those things on a previous day. But of those 5, there's a third one where they talk about a specially designed staircase. Yeah, just making sure. In the drop, they cover 5 subjects, and we talked about the Bigfoot a little bit and the Roswell Crash a lot. And the third one has to do with a staircase. I believe it's in a church somewhere in the Southwest United States. I think it's New Mexico, but it looks like it was divinely planned and constructed. And so Mr. Reality with Psychic List Cross went in and did some work to find out how to get there. And a conclusion that they drew was that it was designed and constructed by an angel. And that sounds quite remarkable. But that leads me to the next subject, which is quote unquote TartaRAYa. A lot of people like to use the word TartaRAYa in relation to so many of the architectural oddities and wonders around the world that are systematically obfuscated. You know, our attention is not called to these points for a reason. It's deliberate. So I'm going to cut to the chase. A lot of these heavy stone buildings, some of them also are made of cast iron. It's really remarkable. It's my opinion. It's just my opinion. We're all having fun here. This is all for entertainment purposes only. Okay, but a lot of these buildings were not built in the 1800s, as their stories say. They were probably erected hundreds of years ago, maybe even 1,000 years ago. And it wouldn't surprise me to hear that angels were involved. So now I want to refer you very quickly to another video in the description, one which we talked about already, one with Chris O'Connor on Sirius Blue with Rebecca Rose. Really like that lady. And Mr. O'Connor, great story. So I saw another interview with Mr. O'Connor yesterday, and he talked about humans as a species and all the powers that we have that we don't use because we don't even know about them. And one of the things that he mentioned was that people, well, I'm going to say, let's just say beings. I'm not sure we're talking about human beings, but we probably are. He probably meant that. But human beings have the ability to transform energy into something that is material. And when you hear that, you know, angels created that staircase in the southwestern United States, it wouldn't surprise me to hear that these things got 3D printed from the minds of angels or people with angelic powers, people who manifest those things. When you look at these buildings, there are zero mistakes. They can last forever. They're hard as anything to knock down, you know, the heavy stones. And by the way, what a curious, what a curious story. When you see some of these pictures of these old cities and these old buildings, I mean, I've seen postcards from the early 1900s and photos from the 1800s. There's no mistakes on these buildings. The intricacy is incredible. It really looks like another planet. It really does. It's hard to believe that that is Earth, especially when we look around and see what we got. Well, anyway, I want to talk to you very quickly about a book I wrote. It's called The Convoluted Autobiography by R. Snow. If you're interested, there is a digital version, and you can check the description box and you can check it out for yourself. That you could read a sample. But in this book, there's a chapter called TartaRAYa, and it's a story about, well, it's a chapter. It's a chapter about one day in school when, you know, I'm doing my thing and I got a bunch of fifth graders in the room, and some kids are done with their work and some are not. So one little boy was done with his work. I'm guessing he was about 10 years old. His mom was a college professor in science, and his dad worked at the local biomedical company. So, you know, he's got very well-educated parents. And he happened to be quite an excellent student, but he was always very friendly and calm and never caused a problem. You know, many teachers would say he's a delight to have in class, except for this one day. So what happened was we were all done with our work, and fifth graders needed to get going on a state report. And I don't know how it happened, but I happened to have some brand new books about states. And one was about the state capitals, which I mentioned yesterday, right? And so I gave the book about the state capitals to this one boy so I could help these other kids finish up their work. And he started browsing through the book because he had to, you know, find out which state he was going to do a report on. But he's looking at these state capitals, and he's looking through this book, and he's like laughing to himself. And then he got in line behind the other kids, and he came up to me when he was done looking at the book, and he said, you know, you're the best teacher ever. Happy April Fool's Day. And I think it must have been April Fool's Day, but he really did mean, he wasn't being insincere. He wasn't being sarcastic. he really did mean I was a great teacher. And he said, this is the best joke I've ever seen. Where did you get this book? And I'm all, what are you talking about? It's just a book on the state capitals. And then he pointed out to me that in the book, again, this is stuff I didn't know at the time. I got a 10-year-old telling me about this stuff. He's all, hey, first of all these Capitol buildings look the same. And then all the people who designed them won a contest. And some of these were built by slaves. And none of it matched up. It was a very beautiful book. It had incredible pictures. I thought it was fantastic. And by the time that kid was done telling me about the book, I knew what I had to do. I threw the book out. When I was done with work that day, I was so disturbed. I took the book and I went out, I didn't just put it in my trash can or I didn't stash it in a trash can on campus like in the cafeteria. Okay, I went right out to the dumpster so no one would see it in the trash, and I threw it out. A book about the state capitol. The book about the state capitals should have been easy. Should have been a slam dunk. I didn't want any more conflict. I didn't want to think about that book. And as it turns out, some 30 years later, when I was home writing my book, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I had to write that chapter. So anyway, by the way, everything worked out fine with that young man. I understand now he's in his 30s. I bumped into his mom a couple of months ago, and she said that she and her her 2 children that I was a teacher of, they were busy being adults, and she had high praise for how we all worked together, and that was a lot of fun, and I appreciate that. If you have a teacher in your life, and you haven't said thank you to that teacher, even if it's been a long time, I promise you, that feels like a big bonus, a big holiday bonus when they hear thank yous from former students. So reach out to your former teachers and say thanks. All right. So that leads me to learning more about TartaRAYa, which didn't come until, a year and a half or so ago, 2 years ago. And I started watching some videos. Mind Unveiled is one site I've gone to. Of course, I told you about old world exploration. There's one that has to do with the state of Florida. It is incredible what's going on down in Florida. And then don't forget Michelle Gibson. She's pointed out that these kinds of buildings are all over the world. We like to think, or we're encouraged and coached to think that if you go around the world, even to Asia and Australia and South America, you'll see buildings like you see in Europe because explorers left from Europe and they brought their influence to those countries. And they said, hey, everybody, we don't speak your language, but really quick, let's build a castle together. Let's build a stone palace together. We got manpower, we got horsepower, we can lift these many 1,000-ton blocks and get this done in no time. I would like to point out, as I did, like on the very first appearance I made on the Typical Skeptic podcast, July 4th, 2024, that, in art and in literature, there's hardly any mention of the construction of these things, whether they're in Europe or anywhere else. I've seen so many paintings, but I've never seen a painting of some city, some downtown in Europe where maybe in the 1600s or the 1300s or the 1800s, there's a painting of them dragging a multi-ton, several-story high column through town on the backs of horses. Don't know anything about it. So I believe that just like with the messages we receive from the tarot world, a lot of those buildings were gifts from God. Those were designed in cooperation with the astral plane. And I suppose we could ask Nikola Tesla a little bit about that, because I would say technology applies. So now I'm going to go back in time again to the 1990s because I got another book I want to show you. Right. My camera came loose a little bit, but we'll be fine. We'll figure this out. Thanks for your patience. All right, so let's check this book out. I was so stoked when I got this book. This is Blaeu's I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Blaeu's The Grand Atlas of the 17th Century World. I got this at least 25, maybe 30 years ago. And I was so excited, of course, because I would teach about this stuff. And I was thinking, this would be so visually impactful upon the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders that I worked with. So, I mean, just for example, here's a map of the world, and according to Blaeu in the 1700s. And I like it because here is the island of California. There are many maps that show California as an island, and it means something to me because I actually wrote a play called Road to California, which takes place on the island of California. It was a way to teach social studies to 4th and 5th graders when I had a combination class. Let's take a look at some other fun maps in here. See, this one is Bremen and Verde. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, but Bremen, I think, is a German or a Dutch city. Let's see if we can find one I recognize, but you can see the pictures are incredible, right? It's not easy for me to read Latin upside down, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at here, but you can see they have the coats of arms. Those things are very important to include on the maps. So this way you know which province was affiliated with which coat of arms, as it were. Okay. Here we are out into some kind of ocean. What are we looking at here? Insula, okay, Sarnia. I guess it says Sarnia. This one, how come I'm paging through all the ones I can't pronounce? I don't even recognize these guys. Brie, I suppose that's where the cheese comes from. Here we go. Here's Italy. I could show you where my family comes from. We're from the Naples region, and we're up in the mountains by Avellino in a town called Castelvetere sul Calore. But yeah, we can recognize the boot of Italy and Corsica and Sardinia and Sicily over there. Great drawings. I mean, I can't believe these people did this free-handed. That's amazing. But what I want to get to is, where is TartaRAYa? So TartaRAYa, and I started noticing this, by the way, even when I was in elementary school, people would talk about TartaRAYa, and you can see TartaRAYa right there. People would talk about TartaRAYa, and you'd hear about it in school a little bit, like in elementary school and middle school, which I was on the East Coast for. And but then they would it would just kind of like get mentioned, and that would be it. And then they would never go far enough. They would never go farther. In fact, it seemed like they tried hard not to mention it. But then I got distracted by the ancient civilization of Phoenicia, Phoenicia, and I guess I forgot a little bit about TartaRAYa. But here you are. TartaRAYa was like it went from East Asia. You have the South China Sea, all the way over to maybe the Ural Mountains over here. Is this the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea area? And this was a general region, but no, according to a lot of the research I've seen, and congratulations and thank you to all the people who do that hard work out there, this may be a region where Tartarian type people come from, but we're talking about a global, worldwide civilization. Kind of like you have to think of the analogy of Atlantis. You know, they say that Atlantis was a city, but Atlantis was very likely a global, worldwide civilization. It was also probably polyethnic and polyspecies. There's probably more than just humans. There were tall humans who were giants. There were other beings from other planets and from inner Earth. But of course, we wouldn't hear about that. Not now, anyway. So I don't see it on this map so much. And, I couldn't wait. This book has been sitting on my shelf for years. And then when I got this podcast going, I'm all, I wonder if there's something I could share about this, because this seems interesting. But just to go back, some of the podcasts and the research that I've seen, they talk about, they actually show on other ancient maps, they zoom in very carefully, and they show that there's actually like little castles, even in maps of old North America, little castles and other edifices. And remember, I can only speak for myself, we all grew up thinking that all of North America was just grasslands where Native Americans hunted and gathered. There were no stone buildings and railroad tracks and trolleys that you could travel from town to town for free. There were no zeppelins and things like that. Okay, for all we knew, Europeans showed up here, negotiated with the Native Americans. I'm sorry to use that euphemism, and then we built out that land. But no, according to some of these old maps, some of the buildings that may still stand, like up in San Francisco, for example, various other places, they actually showed on the map spots where there were cities and special castles and things like that. Again, I'd like to say it has something to do with the website Mind Unveiled, but there's a lot of websites I've seen. So I thought, why don't I look at this book? Because I can find North America, and I can see if this book has any castles and things on the map to show us. And by the way, here, let me go back down again. Here we go. So you could see that I went through this book very carefully, and I put Post-it notes 30 years ago or so I could find a map easily. I'm not sure if that's going to help me right now. I might have to I'm going to take one quick look and see if I can find a North American map. It would be towards the back, I think. Oh, they're beautiful pictures. Well, there's Japan. Interesting. Well, okay, let's get the camera and take a look. See how far down I can go here. All right, so I'm looking at Japan. I don't know if you can see the detail that it's showing us. I can't even keep it steady. It's a good try. All right. Well, let's get to the short story, and that is that I went to North America and I did not find any castles or structures or anything. And I thought to myself, I thought this book was special. I thought this book was providing me with maps with detail that I would never have known about before. That's what I thought I was getting with this book. And whoops, sorry about this. Okay, thanks for being patient. So that's what I thought, but instead I get a map and there doesn't seem to be structures, and I'm wondering, has this book been sanitized? So let's take a look at the book cover again. We talked earlier about European powers going out to explore, and yesterday we threw some tarot cards, and the idea came up that they weren't really exploring, they were surveying a civilization that had collapsed so that they could inherit it. And who inherited it? Well, we could start with, all you have to do is think about who are the great explorers back then. You can start with Great Britain, okay? This book is from the Royal Geographical Society. It's published in cooperation with them. So we would hear what they would want us to know about, wouldn't they? Kind of like with NASA, our National Aeronautics and Space Agency here in the United States of America, founded by Operation Paperclip engineers, including a former NAZI, Werner von Braun. Okay? They're not going to tell us about what's really going on with the secret space program, but they provided us with an alternate history and an alternate science about space. Okay? So I'm saying that these kinds of things are happening all the time, probably even in the 1700s. I'm sure they have secret maps. Even if the story of Columbus is not true, the story of Columbus includes that he kept 2 log books, one that he would share with his crew, because he had to tell his crew positive messages about where he thought they were. Otherwise, there might be a mutiny. And then he kept his own private log about what he really thought was going on. And this is kind of the problem with privatizing technology. But anyway, not to get too far off task, I would like to throw some cards to ask the tarot world, is this really a special book, a book that we can learn from, or is it mostly just sanitized propaganda? to keep us dumbed down. I mean, it did a good job of keeping an ancient civilization secret in the 1700s. So let's get the tarot cards. All right, I see, hello, Tiffany. Good to see you. Oh, thank you very much, Tiffany. By coincidence, you mentioned your fourth grade teacher. I spent most of my time in fourth grade. It was a lot of fun. It was great fun. So let's go to the tarot cam. There we go. Good enough. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear. Is that Atlas book very educational, or is that Atlas book mostly sanitized propaganda? Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear. Thank you. Is that Blaeu's Atlas book really a great educational tool and historical document which people can learn from? I mean, it certainly seems like it is in lots of ways. How great is the impact of a potential propaganda sanitization in that book? I mean, I guess both things can be true, but I'm talking about heavy-handed sanitization, deliberately covering up stuff. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear. Okay, so across the top, I'm going to do educational tool, valuable for sure. And then down here, we'll explore the idea of, is it sanitized propaganda and possibly dangerous and harmful? All right, this is all for entertainment purposes only. You know I like having fun telling stories with tarot cards. So first up, is that book a valuable educational tool? More valuable than any other quality? As much as you can imagine, Breakaway Ray. The Judgment card. The Three of Swords. The Hierophant. Wow. I mean, I'm generating some ideas, so pardon my exclamation. I'm not keeping a secret from you. I want to see what's going on before I try to put together this, what looks like a very complex message, because we asked a complex question. Wow. Justice. So, let's read what it says. Yeah, here we go. I feel better now. I don't like the glare. Here we go. So I'm having fun already, everybody. The Eight of Swords, negative thoughts, self-imposed restriction, imprisonment, victim mentality, entrapment. Judgment. Rebirth, inner calling, a new phase, absolution, reckoning, awakening, redemption, forgiveness, and mercy. Reckoning and awakening to the pain of this education. And by bringing it out into the light, we're serving up justice. I wonder if that works for anyone else. Another tarot tip, which I have repeated before, is, every one of these cards pretty much says a sentence. And if I can say it like I'm speaking casually with grace and ease, it's possibly going to strike more accurately. So again, as much as you can imagine, we need to reckon this. We need to bring this for a reckoning. We need to judge this painful episode of education We need to bring it to justice, which is what I'm doing right now on STARCARD podcast, right? I'm calling out Blaeu. I'm calling out the Royal Geographic Society. Come on, you guys. All right, so now let's measure this message that I thought that I interpreted with this one down here where we're saying, yeah, this is harmful propaganda. It's harmful more than it's helpful. It's been sanitized. Something's been hidden. All right. The Three of Wands says preparation, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. The Nine of Wands, a last stand. Gearing up for a last stand. The Sun card, all is well. The Ten of Pentacles, wealth, contribution. Let me see that. Wealth, financial security, family, long-term success, contribution. The Nine of Pentacles, fruit of your labor. So we ask, is it harmful propaganda more than anything else? And the message I'm trying to see, I'm hearing positive responses to our perceptivity, our perceptiveness. I'm hearing positive messages about what we recognize. Because the statement that we're making, the response is all is well. And what was the word on this page? Long-term success and contribution. Well, if we're calling things to everyone's attention, because we're preparing for the opportunity to do so, we're basing it on our research and our wisdom and logic, and of course, intuition, saying that this book is sanitized propaganda. We can agree with that. All is well with that. That's a good decision to make for the long haul. And we're going to see the fruits of our labor for that. Because we're basically saying we know something is hidden and we have a good idea what it is. So it's time for us to collect what is due for us, because it's for all of us. Well, I had fun. That was a fun intellectual exercise so early in the morning here in California. I want to thank everyone for being patient and polite while I share these ideas. And now we'll check and see if anyone has any tarot requests. And if not, we could do just a couple of fun ones to go. So, yeah, okay, here we go. I see Johanna would like a reading. And hi, Tiffany. Thank you very much. All right, so sure, Johanna. If you have something specific you want me to address with the tarot deck, I'm happy to do it. But at the same time, I'm sure the tarot world knows what's on your mind. Thanks a lot for giving me the practice, Johanna. I really like it. I have a good time doing this. Please show us what Johanna needs to see. Please tell us what Johanna needs to hear. Please show us what Johanna needs to see. Please tell us what Johanna needs to hear. Thank you. Please show us what Johanna needs to see. Please tell us what Johanna needs to hear. Thank you. Well, I meant that one, but I think they all want to come out. All right. Here's some practice for the intern, Breakaway Ray. Let's throw some cards and have some fun. Hey, the Judgment card is back, talking about rebirth. Judgment, rebirth, inner calling, a new phase, absolution, reckoning, awakening, redemption, forgiveness, and mercy. Wow, I like how this guy's been showing up a lot. It's the Justice card. These are, that's a pretty powerful pair, Justice and Judgment. I've never seen these two guys show up together. Let's see what it says in the second sentence here. The Six of Wands, public recognition. Ooh, the Hermit. The Two of Pentacles, multiple priorities. Hey, the Magician. And the World. Wow. And remember, these three guys wanted to come out together, huh? So I'm going to flip these next two cards. I think the tarot world is still offering me a challenge here. Let's check it out. The King of Cups and the Ace of Wands. Wow. All right. So Judgment and Justice, cause and effect, balance, swapping old energies for new energies. And I would add with Justice, equality, truth, and clarity. Is there, I also think of, well, the highest justice of all is meeting out above the third dimension. You know, you might have a person in your life, a traffic ticket involved, or you might be tangling with institutions. Someone might be a judgmental, but don't forget, judgment's actually a good thing when you're taking stock of what you have and releasing what no longer serves. That makes that seesaw more level. The cause and effect, there's balance involved. And then oddly, you have these two guys next to each other. One guy is in the middle of a parade, all eyes are on him, and the other guy is by himself contemplating the subconscious. This one is accomplished and everyone recognizes the accomplishments. And this one is accomplished, but no one sees him, and he's working in secret, and he's probably becoming stronger. So in a sense, you can manage both alters. You can manage both personalities. You can manage both sides of the birth and the rebirth, and both sides of the cause and effect. Because check this out, you're the Magician, and you create your world. And what I like about this, I know the Fool is actually card number 0, but you have the very first card, which is actually the second card, and the Major Arcana with the last card, from front to back, from the beginning to the end, from the smallest part to the whole thing. You feel like you have a really rich personality. That's a notion that just came across my mind. Meanwhile, the King of Cups is someone who's in charge of his emotions. He's emotionally balanced. He's diplomatic. It even says compassion, control, balance, a supportive leader, tolerance, and empathic. And this is the guy, by the way, that I would want to have the magic wand. And the magic wand, the Ace of Wands, says new project, inspiration, urge to create, willpower, desire, power, potential beginnings, new opportunities, and growth. If you're heading into a new adventure, what better way to enter the stage than to be dressed up like the King of Cups? This guy's got his act together. Everyone respects him, and he respects everyone else. Well, in the center of all of this is this guy. He's balancing all of it, isn't he? It's there seems like there might be a richness and a texture to this message that I don't quite see. But boy, am I having fun taking a look at these cards. Johanna, good luck to you. I hope any of this was helpful and fun. And I hope it was entertaining. entertaining and informative and inspirational. You seem like you have a lot of powers you're completely in control of, and you know what you're doing. And you probably have more than one world in which you operate. I guess that could go for a lot of parents in general. You know, you have your regular job, and then don't forget, being a parent is a job. And anyway, I had a great time reading those cards. And if there's anyone else who would like one, that would be great. Oh, is that Amanda? I seem to remember an Amanda. Hello, Amanda, if you're still there. And then you're the person whose message keeps getting retracted. Is that true? Anyway, if we see a message from Amanda, I'll address it. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, viewers this morning and viewers in the future, I hope everyone had a good time today. And not sure if I'm going to be posting tomorrow, but of course, I'll give everyone a little heads up as I get ready for the show. And I hope you all have a great Tuesday or whatever day you're on. That's great. So let's ask the tarot deck. Can you offer any closing messages, something for us to build on until we get to see each other next time? Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear. Is there anything we can build on until next time we get to see each other? Thank you for all the messages today, all the fun pictures. Thanks for all the viewers and subscribers. I want to say thank you to Jay Skyrunner. I know who some of my subscribers are because they also make their YouTube site public. And I remember seeing Jay Skyrunner on Typical Skeptic podcast and him announcing that he was going to subscribe to STARCARD podcast. And I just want to say that's very motivating, Jay. You know, if you want to see videos from me, I better put my face in front of the camera. So thank you very much. I want to thank Tony Ann Bove. She was one of my first subscribers with Jason H. over at Tarot with Breakaway Ray ! That is the companion / backup channel. And I noticed that Tony and Bove has also started following here at STARCARD, as has Jason H. So thank you both for subscribing in both places. You know, if you want to see Breakaway Ray, again, I better get my face in front of the camera. And I'm happy if I can make you laugh and give you a little juice so that you have a good day wherever you're going. And again, we're inviting the tarot world to tell us what's something we can work on or build upon until next time we all get to see each other. Nice messages today. Nice messages every day. Okay. You know what? To close, I'm going to throw a dessert card because, you know, we started off today with one card and it led into a great learning situation. Anyway, this set of cards is all about something that we can build upon until next time we see each other. I'm happy to say we have the Sun card, all is well. And the Eight of Pentacles suggests work. And it also says repetitive tasks, skill development, high standards. Well, what was our intention? While we were shuffling, I was noting, you know, we're all having a good time at STARCARD. Everything's groovy. We're asking about what can we work on. The first sentence often recapitulates what the intention was. And here, I suspect, is a fun message about how or what we're going to pay attention to. First, we're going to be strong. It's the Strength card. And let's not forget that the person in the card there is tangling playfully with a lion. Doesn't sound safe. But I think the message is there's something about, interspecies friendship. We talk about extraterrestrials and interterrestrials and astral beings and sentient consciousness. These are not the regular humans you bump into at the market. So we can be strong and we can be friendly, even amongst people that are not like us. Wow. I'm happy to say the Ten of Pentacles showed up again. And in this case, again, we're talking about long-term success. Be strong. Long-term success is on the horizon. Here's how we get there, what we need to work on. Hey, everybody saw me shuffle. It's the Judgment card. Oh, and the Eight of Cups. And the Nine of Wands. Well, I should be able to figure this out here. So we ask, what can we work on till next time we see each other? We can be strong even among consciousnesses that are not in human form. And it's good for the long haul. And we can swap out a reality that doesn't include other consciousnesses and other ways of thinking and other kinds of knowledge that we have access to, even through the tarot deck. Judgment means we're swapping out energies that no longer serve and bringing in energies that work. It's a rebirth. That means that we have to walk away. Well, it makes me think of what I did, because this was on my mind on my hike today. We have to walk away from all that we knew and no longer serves us. It might have been great for us to enjoy a society where we had gas-powered cars and we paid for electric bills and things like that. That might have been cool, but we could walk away from that. There's something better going on. Our civilization used to be a free energy civilization and free transportation. So why do we need to keep on paying electric bills? Why do we need to keep drilling for oil, for example, quote unquote? Let's be wise about this. Let's only use the energy that we need, our own personal energy, for example, our own spiritual energy. And, let's be mindful. Let's hold on to what's valuable to us behind us. We've already been through the ringer. We've already acquired the wisdom. This card says, let's gear up for a last stand. Because, again, we're at the precipice. Actually, we've actually started the age of Aquarius. There's a new world in front of us, a new universe. And we're going to be a greater part of the cosmos and all the beings that are out there. And a shortcut to get there is through the spirit world. Feels like a good sentence. Let's see what else we got going on. So we're talking about getting in touch with the spirit world, but mostly, like we talked about today, walking away from learning that looks sanitized and programmatic, right? Because we know better. We know better. We know better. The Hierophant, the learned man. I'm sure glad that we pulled a dessert card. This would have been a tough one to leave with. We know better. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. So yeah, I didn't talk about my pain. So my pain is, as I mentioned, I was a teacher for 33 years. I'm technically still a teacher. I'm just on leave. I have multiple credentials and degrees, and yet I had to break away from that situation. I'm not going to get into it now, and it breaks my heart that it had to happen. But if you're trapped in a bear trap and you know how to get out, well, why are you still staying in the bear trap? So let's turn the dessert card over. I got my fingers crossed. It's going to be a little bit more uplifting, right? It's both. So the death card. The death card, on first blush, for people who do not know tarot, looks pretty grim. But in fact, the death card indicates endings and beginnings and transformation. I think that's what we're all here for. We're here to re-educate ourselves so that we have a different perspective on what's going on in the world around us. And we might have to take what we learned and use it as a parallel and say, this is the story that I was told about the 3 bears in Goldilocks, but this is the real deal. If there were really 3 bears in a Goldilocks, here's what would happen. It's going to be a big change for us, and that's just intellectually, right? Just intellectually, it's going to be a big change. I enjoyed telling the story that I told. Looks like we went an hour, and I just saw our friend Sally Forth showed up. Good morning, Sally Forth. Yeah, very good. Nice to see everybody. Wow. Hello, Poppy Cave from South Africa. And yeah, thank you again, Sally Forth. So I got to pull the camera up here. Thanks to some help from my sister-in-law, who is from Brazil, and my good friend Rob Kay over at Typical Skeptic Podcast, I have done readings for people on almost every continent except Africa and except for Antarctica. So I don't know if what I'm saying is I'm willing to stay a little bit longer after class. If Poppy Cave wants a reading, that would be fun for me, because then I could count someone from South Africa as one of my readings. I will check the chat and see, but if not, that's okay. Poppy Cave, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad you tuned in. I hope you subscribe, and I hope I get to see you again in our chat and our shows. All right. So thank you very much, everybody. So happy to see everyone. I hope you have a good day. All right. Talk to you later.